Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be continuing my Doctor Who DVD collection, my ongoing mission to watch every single episode of the show. So I know it's been a couple of weeks since my last update, but the episodes I have been watching recently have been slightly longer. They've been standard size 6 episodes long, some being 8, some being 10 as well for the War Games. But I have actually got to the end of the Patrick Troughton era now, and a whole new decade, I suppose, awaits us. So here's what I think of some of the episodes that I've been watching. So if we remember back to my last video, I did end on the Ice Warriors. I will put a link in the description so you can watch that one. But today we will start on the Enemy of the World. I actually do have the special edition of this one. Now this is I quite like this story actually. It kind of gives a different take on a Doctor Who story. It's not got a conventional monster, so to speak. It's actually Patrick Troughton playing another character, so it gives him another chance to play something else, play something other than a Doctor. I think by now, Patrick Troughton as the Doctor even, he has really woven himself into the role. He really is the Doctor, and I really am starting to love him by now. But yeah, it's a really nice story, this one. It's all complete, all episodes are there, and it's just nice how the Doctor invites Salamander in to the TARDIS at the end and kind of tricks the companions. We've still got Jamie and Victoria in this one. He kind of tricks the companions into thinking that this is the Doctor, and then he tries to fly the TARDIS, I guess, and flings himself off into the time vortex. Who knows, it could still be out there, but I doubt he'd be able to breathe. But a good solid story, that one. I really like that one. Good, nice, solid, meaty story. Next one we've got is The Web of Fear. Again, this is a really good story. There is one episode still missing of this, but I know there is a special edition coming out later this year, so I'm sure that'll be animated. There is parts of that episode, because it's just telesnaps, that you kind of need to see rather than, because I think it just gives subtitles of what's happening. But still, it's only one episode of a six episode story, so it doesn't really distract the fact that that episode is missing. Now, this introduces us to, I guess it's Unit, not that we'd call it Unit back then. And it's the first time we see a Colonel, as he's known then, Lethbridge Stewart, Colonel Lethbridge Stewart. He's not quite Brigadier just yet. I really do like this story. I mean, all of Patrick Troughton's I really love, actually. He just is one of my favourite Doctors, I think. Nice Unit army style story, which is kind of different in a way. It kind of proves that the Doctor can't just do stuff on his own. He can't defeat the aliens on his own. He does need help from friends occasionally. Again, a good, nice, solid story, and a nice starter for a Lethbridge Stewart. A nice beginning for him. Again, when the special edition comes out, I'd love to see that extra episode, whether it be animated. I'm sure it will. Now we come on to Fury from the Deep, which is an entirely animated episode. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really care too much for this. I don't know if it's because it's animated, it's kind of got more special effects. I did watch the colour version of it as well, not that that should make any difference. It's well animated, it is well sort of done, but I didn't really gel to it. I think the seaweed monster thing, I guess, I just didn't really feel it. That said, however, it gave us introduction to the sonic screwdriver for the first time, and it is what it is. It's a screwdriver, and it undoes some screws or bolts or whatever, and it did undo at the time. So it literally was just a screwdriver, which is what it should be, I think. It wasn't overused. It was kind of mocked by Jamie. Kind of, oh, look at that, you've got a sonic screwdriver, and he kind of mocks it a little bit. But yeah, I didn't really care too much for the story, as I say, but it is a fully animated one. Maybe if we had the original story, I might think different, it might look different in all its glory. Next one we got then is the Dominators. I really like this one again. I think it's only a 4-parter, 4-episoder. But it's not got too many characters in it. But I think for an episode, I think that's great. I think the Quarks are just brilliant. They're like little Lego men, I suppose. They just, how they waddle along. It's got some kind of comedy factor to it. Absolutely brilliant. But it is, again, it's got a part in it where he uses the sonic screwdriver and Jamie kind of mocks him. And, oh yeah, look, use your sonic screwdrivers. And Jamie kind of mocks him. But again, it kind of shows that the sonic screwdriver can be used for things other than unscrewing screws. But again, it's not. It is just a tool at the end of the day, and I think that's all it should be. I think in today's era, the sonic screwdriver is used a bit too much for what it should be. But yeah, nice story, that one. Nice short one. Next up, we have the Mind Robber. If I can get that one out. This one I feel like is really quite a fun story. Again, there's not too many characters. The Doctor and his friends have just got to kind of puzzle their way out. He's now got Zoe with them, I think, in this one. Zoe and Jamie. Zoe is a different companion. She is kind of like the Doctor herself, because she is very clever. We don't actually see how we get introduced to her. She's in the Dominators as well. We don't actually see how she comes aboard the TARDIS, but she is a great companion, I think, and she is, rather than some of the female companions we've had previously, who were just the damsel in distress, she kind of does some of the puzzling out and working out for herself, so it gives a nice, another aspect for the companion, for the female companion. And Jamie as well, he kind of cowers behind the Doctor quite a lot, which is kind of different for a male companion. He's kind of makes himself sound like he's all up for everything, but then when he comes to it, he's like, he kind of likes to hide behind the Doctor, I think. Back to the Mind Robber though, again, it is a really, it's just a fun story. Literally has got a puzzle his way through it, and it is just a story at the end, just a writer. Yeah, I really like that one. Next story we've got is The Invasion. Now this is quite a long story, quite a meaty story. At parts I think it's a little bit too long. A couple of them are animated, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's an 8-part story, so you kind of forget the animation in the end. It's the first time we actually do get introduced to UNIT. It's kind of after the events of the Web of Fear, the Lethbridge Stewart, which is now Brigadier, does create UNIT and build it up. I didn't really care too much for the Cybermen in this one. They didn't really show their faces until the end of the 4th episode, I think, which is halfway through. So we get 3 episodes, well, mainly 4 episodes. We don't really see them. But I don't really feel like they're the main villain in this one either. They didn't really invade until the 7th episode, I think it was. It was a nice story though. I think it's a nice introduction to UNIT. I think that's all this story was. As I said, I didn't really care too much for the Cybermen. But Vaughn eventually, which is that guy, centre stage there, he does turn around and he does go back against the Cybermen in the end. He realises who they are. But it's a nice meaty story, it's a nice introduction to UNIT and the UNIT soldiers. And we've even got Benton in this one as well, which he does come back in the future as the UNIT soldier. So it's a nice, good introduction episode, that one. I do have 2 Invasion DVDs for some reason. But next up we have the Crotons. Again, this is a nice shorter story. It kind of shines Zoe in a way. Shines out Zoe, shows her cleverness, shows her clever brain, and almost got to be a match for the Doctor in a way. Kind of shows the companion does go off and do something she's not told to do. The Doctor tells her to wait, and she just goes ahead onto this computer and tries to figure it out. And she is a clever companion, she is a clever girl, so she can get herself out of things. Crotons themselves are just fun, clever little robots. It's a nice short story, so it's not too long. And they eventually obviously defeat the Crotons, and I think they should come back actually, because they are brilliant creatures. I don't think they're robots as such, but they are brilliant creatures. Really like one. Next up then we have the Seeds of Death, which is a return for the Ice Warriors. Now, as an Ice Warrior story goes, I like this one more than the original Ice Warriors, the Ice Warriors. I think it just had a much better story to it. Again, I think the Doctor and his companions won in the first 10-15 minutes, I think, which kind of sets the scene for us, and I quite like the way they do that. So we can sort of experience the place before the Doctor gets there, if that makes sense. I just thought it's a nice Ice Warrior story, nice how they were taking over the Earth and not even being there. They were kind of just doing it from the moon, so all this foamy stuff appeared, the fungus, and no one was to expect it was an alien life form, I suppose. But yeah, nice 6-parter episode, and it was. I kept gripped the whole way through, rather than the first Ice Warrior episode. It was kind of a bit boring in a way. But yeah, this one a lot better Ice Warrior story, and I think we do see him again in the future sometime. And then we come to the last of Patrick Troughton's episodes, which is the War Games. This is a really long 10-part episode, 10-part story, and I thought 10 parts, I'm going to get bored, it might drag on a bit, but honestly, I was gripped the whole way through. I absolutely love the whole story. Yeah, I just found it fascinating how they could even back then do what they did, and they could go between different war zones, I suppose. And we actually get to learn more and more about the Doctor in this one. We know that he is a Time Lord. I think this is the first time we hear that he is a Time Lord. And he doesn't want to go back. He at the end he does try to escape and try to evade the Time Lord, I suppose. But we know that Time Lords are clever beings, so they do catch up with him. But yeah, I really like this one, and I mean, I was just beginning to like the second Doctor when we have to get rid of him, I suppose. We have to move on. He has been the Doctor for now 3 years. For me, binge watching through these, I appreciate that I can binge watch them, but it doesn't feel like it's been 3 years. Started in 96, or 96, 69, 66 to 69, if I can get my words out. I quite like the 3 Time Lords in this one as well. They're just simple. They do look like humans. They are simple beings. And I now understand why he had to be exiled to Earth. Because he had broke their law. They didn't want to meddle with other beings, other planets. They could go, but to not meddle with them. Even though the Doctor was helping. And I'm glad they sort of thought, oh well, let's not kill him off. Let's exile him. And I don't know how I feel about having the Doctor in one place at one time. So we'll see how that goes. And I have actually watched the first episode of the Third Doctor, which is all change. Completely. Obviously not just the new Doctor, but we are now in colour. But I don't think there is a lot of difference, to be honest. Spearhead from Space I have watched. This is the last one I watched. And it is exactly the same style. It is just in colour. We've got Unit. So we've still got Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. And now we've got Liz Shaw. I think the ending to Jamie and Zoe was a bit sort of odd. But then the Time Lords do what they got to do, and they got to send them back to their own times, I suppose. And they can only remember their first adventure with the Doctor, which is quite sad, really. But now we're on to a whole new era. Third Doctor, straight into the role. He is quite, I think it's the first time we see him kind of recover from a regeneration. He's in a hospital bed and he's kind of struggling a little bit. But it's only the first part that he is, and then the rest of the story he does come to life, and he does eventually come to defeat the Autons. I just think he's straight away he is a brilliant Doctor. He's basically the class clown. He is just, there's a moment when he's taking a shower and he's just, it's the way he does it. It's just so fun. It's just a fun-loving Doctor. He is the class clown. And I already love him, and I can't wait to see what else he gets up to on his exile on Earth. And that is as far as I've got to. I do in fact have the original Spearhead from Space there, as well as the Blu-ray, which I did watch. Next one I'm up to is Doctor Who and the Silurians. And I'll be watching that next, and hopefully update with my progress next week, if not the week after. And that's as far as I've got so far. So I think Patrick Troughton's era, Patrick Troughton's Doctor, is so far my favourite, by far. Don't get me wrong, I love William Hartnell, I love him in the role, but I just feel like his Doctor is more sort of grandfatherly. He is what I'd want my grandfather to be like, I think. I think the second Doctor is then more centre stage as the Doctor. He is the Doctor. William Hartnell has got quite a habit of just not staying at the sidelines, but letting the other companions kind of have their own screen showtime as well. I might just be waffling here, but in my opinion, I like Patrick Troughton's better than William Hartnell's. And if John Pertwee carries on the way he has been in that first episode, I think he will be my favourite. So each to their own. They've all got their great parts. They've all got their good things they do, and I can't wait to see what John Pertwee gets up to next. So that brings us to the end of today's video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please leave us a like, comment and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, guys. That's been me, Sam P, over and